Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, I have my co-host, Barbara, with me. Are you there, Barbara?
I sure am. Hi, Johnny. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Now, what our guest today, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly, is Tishara Cousino. Is that correct?
Cousini.
A lot of people say that. They say Tishara Cousino from Las Vegas, but it's okay. It's Cousino, actually, Cousino. But you are more than welcome to.
Just to let you know, I looked up your name earlier, and I was like, is it French? Is it Italian? Barbara said that you were Italian.
I am. I'm Italian, Cherokee Indian, a bit of German, French, some English, a little bit of a mix of a bunch of things for sure.
Oh, I was telling Johnny, 100% Italian. It was total hearsay. Did you do the heritage or the genealogy to find out exactly all the things you just listed?
The 23andMe, yes.
You did?
Mm-hmm. It was so fascinating. So much information.
Too.
Yeah.
I did it too. Guess who sent me a package to do? It sat there for a few years until I thought, actually, I want to know this stuff. A fan sent me it to do as a gift. Is that sweet?
Oh.
Yes.
That's
okay, well,
nice.
This hour is all about you, Tishara. I ran into Tishara, everybody, just recently when I took a little weekend trip, Memorial Day weekend, to Las Vegas. And we had a couple of wonderful dinners together. And the more we talked, the more I heard about everything you are doing, I thought, oh, my gosh, I have to have you on this show, not just because, A, I am so interested in it, Cambo, and how you are a certified master Cambo practitioner extraordinaire. I just feel like I am just in awe because I had no idea that you were really doing this. I, of course, knew that you were a number one real estate in Las Vegas seller. I knew that. But you're doing this too. Wow. And I just thought, we have to share this because this is good. This is helping the world, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so my background is I've done real estate for 19 years. And once I did my Playmate stuff, I really wanted to invest. And then I went and did that. And I've been doing real estate for 19 years. But during that time, I actually got really sick. That's how I ended up kind of circling back to my naturopathic degree roots. And this is more of like my dharma, my way to give back, and help other people, support other people in their healing and in their journeys toward healing and just back to themselves.
Yes, but early on, your parents did notice this about you. I read through your bio, which is really a long bio. You've studied and studied, but they noticed this even when you were a little girl, that you were really a natural type of healer. Am I right?
Yeah. As a child, I think I was always kind of a little odd in that I was like, I'm really into energy and connecting with different energies, clairvoyant, clairaudient, like been able to just be very in tune. And then I was like hanging out at health food stores and doing Indian sweats and doing detoxes at 10. They're just like, oh, she's doing what 10-year-olds doing detoxes. But that's just what I was always drawn to since I was little. So they tease and think, well, she was a medicine woman in many lives, and this kind of came back here to do the same thing. So I think like it was just a natural thing for me. And then that's what drew my passions into wanting to do my naturopathic degree. And then when that happened, it was kind of at the same time, like Playboy came around, and it was like, hey, it was kind of two forks in the road, and schooling was like always going to be there, and all these amazing, fascinating opportunities came up, and my parents were really supportive in that, you should take advantage of these. You're young, and then come back to school later. It'd always be there for you. And during that time, I actually got really sick. I didn't really share it with anybody, but I was high functioning, and then eventually became bedbound, not able to communicate, speak full sentences, comprehend much. My body was kind of breaking down. And eventually, I went to the best of the best doctors all over the country, and no one really could pinpoint what was wrong. My blood tests were coming up normal. And then, of course, I didn't feel normal. I was really a shell of myself. I lost kind of everything that I thought that I'd known. And what we call now is a dark night of the soul, or just a journey back to healing, really a journey back to yourself. So what that did is brought me back to my path, which was natural medicine, and really committed to healing myself. And in that time, I found Cambo. Actually, initially I found ayahuasca first, and did some really deep work with that. That connected me to the Cambo. And eventually got myself better, right? We found out I eventually had Lyme and breast implant illness is what was going on with me that they couldn't really pinpoint. And so,
what year? I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to put that in my head. Like, when was this happening?
Yeah. So I think about it was, Lyme is actually pretty prevalent. Most people have been exposed to it. It doesn't really start to pose a problem until maybe you have a surgery or a trauma, a car accident, multiple infections or heavy metals. These different things can really trigger the symptoms. But it was back in probably 2005 is when I was the things were starting to shift, but I was still kind of able to function. It went on for some time, and then
like a year. How long did you suffer from this?
Oh no, it was a while. It didn't start off so bad. It was okay, I noticed a lot of fatigue, just not feeling like myself. My body was attacking itself. I was in pain all the time. Anxieties, different things that were happening in my body. I was oh, this isn't normal. So that went on for some time, and then there was times that it was worse than others, because it was kind of good days and bad days until it became just all bad days. And then, things got pretty bad. But then eventually I found I couldn't work. I couldn't function. Eventually I found these medicines, and that's really what brought me back and brought me on this path, because they saved my life.
Yes.
So that's what really got me passionate, and I thought, well, wow, had I known about this earlier. And I actually didn't have any intentions of serving Cambo or that, but what happened was the people that did know about me being sick and then getting better, they had found out about that, and then they were themselves going through certain, health issues, and reached out to me to give them the medicine. And I was oh, no. It's one thing if I hurt myself.
They could trust you. They were feeling the vibe. And I feel that with you, too. I feel safe. It's a safe environment with you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, I just didn't feel in that space really I wanted to have proper training, and so I didn't really think much of it. I just said, I'm sorry, I can't. And then that same thing kept happening over and over, and I was in the car driving, and I just knew with my spiritual connection, I said, there must be something to this. And so I just prayed, and I said, Spirit God, if this is something you want me to do, then I need full support and guidance. And at that very moment, oddly enough, this car got in front of me, and the license plate said FROGLUV, Frog Love. And it was just a very a goosebump moment. And I was okay, because if you would have asked me maybe 13 years ago, I would have looked at you crazy, because I had people coming to my house and they purge, it's a purgative,
right?
To prevent pretty deep processes.
People imagine that right away, because you imagined that right away. The minute you hear about some people call it fraud, poison, and it's called Cambo, correct? But you had tried ayahuasca, which is apparently very strong as well. Are these both from the Amazon? First of all, I want to know if you've even gone to the Amazon to study it too, and what are the differences? Why did you lean more to Cambo than ayahuasca? Just briefly tell us about that, because I seriously am going to come to Las Vegas and do this with you sometime. So
yes,
pretend like I am a patient and I'm coming. Like, what's the little quick rundown that you would tell me?
Yeah, so, well, to answer the first question, ayahuasca and Cambo are very different in that ayahuasca is actually a psychedelic. It is what we call an altered space, and so you will go on quite a journey with that for some hours. And Cambo is legal, and it's more of a cleansing, what we refer to like as it's a shamanic earth medicine, and it's the process is that you're completely grounded in your body, and you will only, so like maybe a 15-20 minute, you could go a little longer if you just want to continue working, but then you're done, and then you can pop back into your life. And I think that's what a lot of people like about it, is that, people can come and get a healing, although first-time sitters usually do what we call an inoculation, which is 3 sits within a moon cycle or 30 days. That's how you best get the most results, but you still get good results from single sits. I think it's just like anything else. It's like your first sit.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. Let me ask you this question. Do you feel like that you are in a like out of body experience when you go through this?
No, you're completely grounded in your body, so much so that like you will be communicating and talking, and I've been serving now for quite some time, so really moved into where we work with it in a gentle way, right? So there's no need to blast the body. I know people see stuff on videos, and that's indicative, but not everyone has the same process. So you can receive it, and so it doesn't blast you, So I offer different ways to receive it, so you don't just have to just say, oh, okay, this has to be super intense.
Okay. Well, that's good, but I don't want to rob myself from the super, intense thing. You know what I mean? I don't want to say, oh, well, I don't know if I want to throw up. Why not? I've thrown up my whole life. I've had very bad flu. Yes, it is uncomfortable. I never thought I was going to die from throwing up. I never had that bad of throwing up. But isn't it worth it to, don't you want to get everything out that your body's saying, get out, let me heal you, get out, let me heal you? Why not just blast it out and do it the strong way that you're really supposed to do it?
Yeah, you definitely can. And I think if your body's up for it and you're up for it, I always encourage that. I always support and say, try to release that out. That's the purpose of it. You still receive the benefits though, but ideally, here's 2 things. It's a misnomer that you're going to have a vomit purge. Not everybody has a vomit purge. It could look like this, guys. You could, first off, anytime someone sits for the first time, they always get a test point. And, the 12 years I've been serving, I've never had one issue, 100% safety record. But I always tell people, if you are that lucky one, I'd wipe it off and you'll be back to normal within moments, right? So It's very controlled. But as it goes in, you can feel these effects. You can feel maybe the heart beating a little bit faster, maybe some heat flushing in the body, hot, cold, sweating. You might cry. You might feel the need to go to the bathroom, or you may purge. And, Barbara, you're exactly right. Why not get that out? It's not even like a sickness of oh, I'm sick, I ate a bunch of bad food. It's really a healing purge, a healing vomit, if you want to say, where you feel wow, I'm so glad, I got that out of me. You feel like you've been holding on to that energy forever. And so it's almost like where you really do want to release that out because it's just been like, it's sitting in you in that energy. So, yeah,
People are
absolutely.
just scared. You know, it's the fear that stops people. But scared of what? Really look at what are you afraid of? Throwing up, which maybe you did last week, you know, 'cause you ate something wrong. You know what? And you always say that, don't you? After you throw up, you always say to yourself, God, I feel that was, I didn't like it. Maybe there's pressure in my eyelids from it, but I feel much better now. And yeah, so it's the same kind of thing. I want the listeners to know that be open-minded with this stuff. I am so into natural, holistic medicine. Why not? Don't you think that the people who were on this earth, I mean, before we got into our room with, you know, all of the medicine and drugs, we've been healing people for centuries prior, and it's powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
It's got over 5,000 years. Like, it's the original medicine. Like, you know, all this stuff that they have here, like, this is new medicine, but this is like earth medicine. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years.
And that's why there has that hallucinogenic part to it, I think, because back then they weren't full of laws and, oh, that's drugs, and how society turned things bad. They were into, okay, we researched this as a tribe, and we've tried it, and we've watched the animals, and we've watched the land, and, you know, they used it. Sure, it gives you euphoric thoughts and feelings. People aren't going to go over there just to get the high. It's not about that. You're going to have those euphoric feelings because your brain, you're going back into so many deep memories that for some reason have been closed off to you, to your memory. Those are going to be open. And they can't it can't happen when you're in just a state of mind having a cup of coffee with somebody in the cafe, right?
Well, the Cambo is not a psychedelic. Just to have some clarity, the ayahuasca is. The bufo frog, which is also a frog, is like an altered experience. But the Cambo frog is not psychedelic, just so you guys know.
Okay, do you feel anything besides
you
hot?
won't feel nope. It's very physical, so no psychedelic experience.
But you might cry and purge out all of that. You know what? I did have a crying purge thing a few days ago because I got triggered. And you know what? I told you at dinner I was doing that year-long course called Magnetize Your Dreams. I'm working on myself, being positive, doing the whole feng shui home, getting it all flowing, getting your, you know, life together. And I think it got me really more in tuned and not so numb, which I couldn't even believe it, Tishara and Johnny. I was watching this movie, Mandy Moore. She was pregnant with triplets, and just what she was basically going through. And then she was in labor, and I had such a weird thing happen when I went into labor. You guys, I have to even write a whole book on just that. I mean, there was literally a stranger guy that I dated one day, and then I went into labor, and my parents let that guy in like they thought I knew him and everything, and I was so out of it. And this guy was in my room during delivery. He was a stranger. And so all this, when I saw her, you know, because I was pregnant with the twins, and I lost the boy, right, in the childbirth. So it triggered me, and I cried and cried and cried. And I had to cry into the pillow so nobody could hear me, like the neighbors. And I couldn't even believe it. I woke up in the morning, and I thought, I haven't even looked this good for years. My face was not swollen, not puffy, not elephant man puffy. It was rosy. And I said, I feel great. I feel good. And I cleansed out that. I cleansed it by crying. I cleansed it by thinking about it. I cleansed it by talking to my mom who is in heaven, you know. That I did. So I was proud of myself. That's enough about me. I'm going to give you the floor. But I want you to know, Tishara, that I am so on your wavelength with this natural
Oh, I love that. That's exactly though, Barbara. Just what you said.
I will
It's
say
like
that it is a
that
new
puts
thing.
you in a deep place.
Hold on, Johnny. Thank you, Tishara. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Johnny, I know it's exciting. Go ahead. Johnny? Johnny?
Oh, I was
Go
just
ahead.
saying thank you for. I was just saying that's a good thing that I'm.
Oh, no, you're cutting out, I believe. Tishara, did you hear him cut out a little bit?
I did it. I'm sorry, Johnny. What did you say?
Honestly, a little bit, but not much. But just
Okay, Johnny. Johnny, you have to go take care of your connection, and I'm going to continue talking because this is odd too. I don't usually hear this kind of cutting out on Blog Talk ever. So, no, we cannot hear you very well. I'm going to go on to the next question, and hopefully you'll be okay in a few minutes. All right.
All right, thank you.
Tishara, okay. You know, we put up the title of the show, Tishara Cousino, Miss May. I know you're 1999, the coolest year ever. Miss Yeah.
that was
and,
you know, the
year. Playboy Playmate of the month, and people want to hear a little bit about that. So it sounds like you have really great, supportive parents that were right by your side. Didn't you tell me that you're a third generation Las Vegas
Yep,
night?
I am.
Las Vegas
I
night?
am.
What do you call yourself? I'm a Washingtonian, a Nevada. What do you call yourself?
we just say, you know, like we just say born and raised in Las Vegas.
Native.
And so we like, oh, native Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's a cute
Las
one.
Vegas.
Yeah, that would make sense. That's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So how did you were studying holistic medicine, you were gravitating towards it, you loved it, but then Playboy came, you keep saying, so we want to know, how did Playboy come to be?
Yeah. So, you know, I think this story I hear a lot with the girls, but I think it was just something where I thought I was going to be from, like, when I mean, you grew up pretty fast in Las Vegas, I just have to say, because you're just exposed to so much. So at 16, I think I had 3 fake IDs, and, you know, I was out, and people used to think I was a Playmate already, and I just used to say to myself, I'm like, I'm going to be a Playmate one day, and it happened for me. I was here, and then I ended up in Los Angeles, and you know, shortly after I met Paul Marciano from Guest, who introduced me to Marilyn Grabowski, and Marilyn Grabowski kind of took me under her wing, and it really happened quickly. Like, we went out there for a test shoot on, you know, like one of the weekdays, and the next thing you know, they asked me to stay for the Midsummer Night's Dream party. It was like the first one Pep was having since he was separated or going through separation. And that following day, they just said, okay, darling, you know, how would you like to be Miss May? And I was like, wow. Excuse me, guys. I was like, yeah. I was like, that's amazing. I think it was a little bit surreal. It just happened very quickly.
You know why?
But,
I really believe in manifestation. You were saying just everybody thought I was one already, and I said, well, okay, I'm going to be one. You really must believe in that, doing what you do, because I really believe in manifestation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already were living
knowing.
it. You were already... Okay, I have a more specific question. When you went to Playboy and then you were really discussing this seriously and shooting and testing, well, did you tell them? Because you know how they have you fill out a little questionnaire, or you're just talking to Stephanie Barnett or Marilyn Grabowski, or, you know, maybe have... Well, I guess he was getting divorced around that time, wasn't he? So I came along in 1992. He was married to Kimberly. By the time you came along, 1999, things were getting fun. Wow.
That's what everyone
you're
said
lucky.
to me. Everyone said that. They're like, oh, you're lucky because, like, I guess like things kind of slowed down for a while. Is that right? How was it when you were a Playmate that year?
You would go up there. It was all about family. It didn't say Playmate at play as you drove up to the mansion. It said children at play. She changed the sign, and you could see where she changed it, and then they changed it back. But she was very kind to me. Kimberly Conrad Hefner was. I must say, she just was very reserved, and I don't blame her. I don't think that she was cut out to share so much with her man, and it must have been very hard. It would have been hard for me. It depends on your personality. But she was good to me. You would go up there, it was toys everywhere. You go into the foyer, and there was the big wheels and just toys everywhere. Can you imagine that, Tishara? And then I would be getting ready, eating breakfast in the little special, cute dining, not the big dining room, but the little breakfast room. And there was Marston and Cooper. Cooper was in the high chair, and Marston was too, and the nanny was feeding the breakfast. Okay, then I would go to the studio, shoot, come back. It was very subdued. She even stopped the lingerie parties and had turned most parties to black tie, and it was quite strict. And a lot of the 90s Playmates, or early 90s, we were joking about how if you saw her coming, you just would like turn and go the other way because you just didn't want any trouble. You didn't want a cross eye taken wrong. You were really tiptoeing around the mansion. And that's why I don't even have a feeling that I actually was working business with Hugh Hefner. I know he loved me and he was happy with my work, but when I would travel the world and work with the foreign departments, I felt like it was those people that were running the show. Those people were choosing me. Those people, it mattered, my thank you notes and everything more. And I always correlated half with the partying, just the mansion, the fun, the mansion. That's it. It was separate like that. I don't know how it was like for you, but that's how I felt in a nutshell. And so it became so fun, so wild, more wild than I could even imagine, Tishara.
Oh, really? When did that? So
Would
did that,
you
is
say
that
it's
when it
the
shifted
wildest
in
it's
99?
always been? Or?
No, it happened. I'll tell you when it happened. 1999, 2000, because that's when Hugh Hefner came on me in one of those big grotto bathrooms, and I had to reject him. He wanted me to come up to the room for the big orgy that night. He invited me. I said no, and I was so worried. Is this going to affect my work? But I already had been a Playmate for 5 years. So it didn't, though, you all. It did not reject. He did not reject me. Nothing bad happened. It was wonderful. Everything was the same. I worked and worked and worked. So I totally am happy with my relationship with you, Hefner, and I'm going to leave it at that. I have opinions about a lot of things, but I want to know about you. But knowing about mine and knowing about yours and the differences, that is knowing about you, because it's our mindset. Like, how'd we come into it? And remembering meeting you, I met you at the opening in Las Vegas. I think it was 2006. Playboy Club opened in Las Vegas. How fantastic. You were working it, but you were like a host of Playboy. You were above. You had a special role. Tell us about that. Yeah, that was exciting.
They did so when they opened up that Playboy Club at the Palms, they were hiring a lot of girls as like cocktail waitresses and dealers, but I ended up becoming a Playboy Playmate host. So I was the host in there. So I was the host of like the high rollers and the gamblers.
But what did that tell exactly?
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say, Barbara?
What did that job entail, being a host?
Oh, so basically what that entail is like, so their gaming, I was basically in charge of getting them to come and gamble and taking care of like their comps and, just setting them up to play, inviting them out, basically like a liaison. And like, what is it?
Did you ever meet any celebrities there? Or?
Oh, yeah. I mean, during that time, it was like the Palms was a big deal, and that's like kind of was like a Las Vegas celebrity playground. The Maloofs really built that up to be that. So there was a lot of like different like, celebrities and, all different people from walks of life that came there.
Who did you hang out with? We always do ask that, don't we, Johnny? We like to know what celebrities did the Playboy Playmate date, if you want to divulge.
Like who I hung out with?
Hung out with, date.
I think during that time I was actually dating George Maloof, so.
Yeah, we did not know that.
Yeah, so we were together during that time. It was a really beautiful time. Obviously, kind of difficult, because I know George. I grew up in Las Vegas. George had been forever. I knew George, I think, when I was like 16. I was a teenager. And then there was always kind of a spark there. I think like I had my first boyfriend from like 19, 20, 21, 22, and eventually we reconnected again. And that was right before the Palms was the Palms. And so after the Palms became the Palms, it was like there was just so many women and the lifestyle, it was kind of hard to be dating.
Hold on, Tishara,
someone in that life. Yeah.
Because we have a lot of family-type people that might not know who George Maloof is. He was the owner of the Palms and many other things, and the family was very big in Las Vegas, big time, and he was the one who did a deal with Hugh Hefner, correct, to open the Playboy Club at the Palms. And you were smack dab right in the middle of it, and I didn't even know. And I have that fabulous photo of you, me, and Shauna Sand, the same three playmates who just met in Las Vegas for 2 great dinners. And I had no idea that you were in holistic medicine at that time, but I just knew you had your stuff together because you had a suit on, a very smart host suit, not the boy bunny costume or, a mini dress. Yeah, I knew that you were special, but I had no idea all of this. So that's great. See, these experiences that you were able to have, do you attribute that to just yourself or a lot to because you were a Playboy Playmate?
Oh, 100%. I think Playboy really allowed to have so many opportunities. And really at the time, look at now, like I look back and I think, wow, I really didn't understand the magnitude. And I think a lot of girls can probably think, because a lot of us were so young. I did not understand the magnitude of what Playboy really was and what that afforded me to do and the doors that opened. You're really quite young and a bit naively going through it, and you're just like, okay. But now I look back and I'm like, wow, those opportunities came because so many people always wanted to have the Playmates here and offer them there, and so 100% Playboy opened up so many doors, and I'm super grateful. For me personally, I have nothing but fabulous experiences, from Hef to the parties to the girls to the working events. Like I've always had a great experience, and so yeah, definitely.
Well, I would like to add to that. Hold on, Johnny. You sent us some fabulous, glamorous, and fashion photos from your modeling portfolio, and I was looking through those, and I was just like, wow. And look at those long legs. And, I mean, for all I knew, if I didn't know you, you would be like a 6-foot fashion model. You photographed so tall, and I'm so sure that you had so many modeling gigs, and probably still do. But then I thought, you know what? I don't get that feeling every time I see a photo, and I see a lot of photos. And I just got shivers again. And I thought, Hugh Hefner, Didn't he have a great eye? There was only so many playmates that could be chosen. I don't know. I don't even think there's 1,000 out there in the world since 1953. And you were one of those. Tell us a little bit about how does that feel to be chosen by Hugh Hefner, and does that make you feel like how does that make one man who created this chose me? That makes me feel so good. But can you tell us a little more in depth of how you feel about that and why?
Yeah, sure. And yeah, you chose us, Barbara. Like I'm the same. I feel like what an honor. And I don't think I realized the magnitude. And then I look back, I'm like, wow. You realize that how many thousands of submissions were turned in by gorgeous women. I mean, I myself turned in some women, and they actually turned them down, and I was so shocked. I'm like, how did that girl get picked? It's very interesting. It's like they had this very particular look and also feel for the women, and to make that, I have to say, cut. I'm like, wow, I can't believe out of all of those submissions, they actually chose me. It was a very hard, like when I was actually going through the process of, I almost feel like, you know, for example, and I'm saying it's like, I had gotten, they put me on the phone with Marilyn Grabowski, and then Marilyn's like, okay, darling, why don't you come in? And at that moment, I was actually almost self-sabotaging myself, where I was like, oh, I'm making excuses of why I couldn't come in. And then she's like, okay, darling, well, how about this date? And I stopped for a moment, and I was like, you know, you are presented with this amazing opportunity, and if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it. So you need to just say yes. And in that moment, I committed to say yes and changed my whole life. And so It was just a big honor. Like I just think, wow, how just out of all of the women that were submitted, we were actually chosen, and that was Hef. Hef had this really, just like you said, like this interesting energy, that the gleam in each of the girls' eyes, that he had a certain type that he would pick, you know.
Really interesting.
I also wanted to say something else. I did some research, and I found out just now that probably Navy SEALs that there were Playboy Playmates. So you guys are really rare.
You cut out again. There's more what?
Navy SEAls.
Oh,
than there are
more Navy SEAls. Oh, really? More Navy SEAls.
Oh, wow.
And okay.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, you didn't think about it. I mean, how long was Playboy going on? There's 12 girls picked a year. And how long was the magazine at that point? Do you know, Barbara? Do you guys know?
Okay, the question is, 1953. Okay, what is the question again? Sorry. You're kind of not sounding clear either.
Oh,
I don't know why. Okay. Yeah, a little fuzzy. Johnny's cutting out. You're not so clear. Maybe mouth into the phone a little. Okay, go ahead. Please repeat.
Oh, I was just wondering, what year did Playboy finally... Well, Playboy's still going on, but it's obviously so different. Like, when did it actually kind of stop doing the magazine?
2017.
Okay, and then the year that it started, was it 53?
Yes. So do the math.
Okay, so
1953. Extraordinaire woman. I love it.
64. We got 64 years times 12 women. So literally only 768 women over all those years.
I knew it was 1,000.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's not very many.
No.
And we've interviewed many, I think 25 or 30 Playboy Playmates, right, Johnny? And each one has such an interesting story of how they became Playboy Playmate. And not one of them has ever taken it for granted. Every single one. It just was some kind of eye-opening, major, wow, I have arrived experience type thing. Because sometimes right now in life, I don't even know why do I I still have fans. Really? You're my fan? Oh, I've loved you since 1992, Miss December. Oh my gosh. Well, when you think about a fan, I've loved the Seattle Seahawks since I was a girl. Those Seattle Seahawks, my team, have gotten me out of depression some years. If I didn't have them, I would have been lost. And so I think we're that to so many people out there. And that I think sometimes we don't realize because we're humble, too. We don't walk around thinking we're God's gift to creation. We're very humble women. We're normal women. We all have a lot for careers and aspirations and dreams. And that's what Johnny and I like to do is showcase that. So, wow.
Oh yeah, Barbara, I just was saying, like, I feel like even to this day we are so blessed. Have is no longer with us, but the legacy and Playboy still, like, for us to even just go be able to connect and be at dinner together, for me to be connecting with you guys on the show right now. I had one of my girlfriends who actually lives in the same high as me. I met her brother one time. She sent me a guy tattooed my face, one of my Playboy pictures on his body. I'm just like, wow, the impact that
you are tattooed on somebody's body. That is awesome.
She just sent me the picture, and I'm like, I haven't been a Playmate as 1999. We're in 2024, and I've got this person tattooing me on their body, and I'm like, wow, that's mind-blowing. But because it was from Playboy, right?
And we can
just the impact.
If you're down and out, okay, if you're a Playboy Playmate, you can always make money because somebody out there is going to want to buy something from you, and millions of people collect our stuff. So it really is a gold mine. It has been a gold mine. You can use it if you want. You don't have to use it if you don't want. It's high class. Hugh Hefner always kept it very classy, and that's what I would say in all my interviews, that, the nudity is beautiful. So thank you, Hef. He just had his birthday. I missed it. Did you write in on the Facebook page and wish him a happy birthday, even though he's passed away?
I didn't, because I'm not too active on social media, though I later went on and I saw a lot of the girls' stuff come up. So
okay,
I could probably do
Tishara,
that.
Me neither. Tell us if you could, a little cute story or a detail, or just how was your relationship personally with Hugh Hefner?
He was always always very gentleman. I came around when it was Sandy, Mandy, and Brandy, like the twins. They was pretty, enthralled with the girls. And so, we'd all, like, go out in the limo, like, after shoot days. And he just was always very generous, always sent the pictures, maybe wrote a little note. Very generous man. I wasn't, like, super, super close with him, right, but just that my interactions with him were always very, very generous and gentleman-like. And so, he's a funny man. A lot of people wanted to be by him or talking to him. And so I also think I was a little bit shy in some regards. Mm-hmm.
Well, even just around him. So if you naturally are just a little subdued and shy, and then you have Hugh Hefner, this iconic legend that just changed your life, and you just don't want to even say the wrong thing, it would take probably a Quaalude if he handed me one. He never did. I never did go out with him or anything. It would take that to, like, break that. He kind of made me a little nervous. But, I really put him up on a pedestal, but I did write him cards and things like that. But this is amazing. When you just said Sandy, Mandy, and Brandy, that's exactly when it changed. So you don't even know when it was boring. Right when they came was right when the wife moved out, and what happened was he was trying to date the Playmates. And then when he realized, well, they're not really taking the bait. We were already Playmates. And, when I came along, he was 65. That's not that old, but then he was 70. And to me, I'm 30. 70's old. So I rejected him. And then he really realized, and I saw this, you guys, I saw it when Hugh Hefner realized every single woman out there, and my dad even has always told me this, Barbara, I don't care what a woman says, every single woman on this planet would love to be a Playboy Playmate. And he realized that, and then he had 7 girlfriends. Boom. They were not Playmates, but he had the power, didn't he? And then history. So I saw that happen.
Why did him and Kimberly separate? I never knew that.
Well, it wasn't any big blow up or anything. I feel like that they were growing apart. She went on a couple of trips without him, which frustrated him because he didn't like traveling. He thought he could make this oasis world, paradise world for her, and nobody would want to leave him. The world came to him. It's years. You don't realize. For years, he never left. He just started leaving when you came along. He started getting in the limo and taking girls out to nightclubs, and they'd rope it off for him. I knew everything about his outings because I was really good friends with Billy Atkins, who arranged a lot of that stuff. And because I was in Beverly Hills. Oh, this is what, I don't want to go off on my tangent. I want to know about you. So you become a brand new Playboy Playmate. You're in a hot town already. There's no reason really to move. But a lot is going on in Beverly Hills and L.A. So what did you do? Did you ever live in Los Angeles?
I did. Well, it's hard because it's just the same thing. It's like we were exposed to all of that here. So I did spend a good amount of time in Los Angeles, actually staying at the mansion. I had to reshoot my centerfold 3 times due to, Hess not liking the hair, one not liking the position. So that was a long process for me. So I was going back and forth quite frequently. Eventually I did move there for a good year. But it was hard because my whole life and family are here. So, I ended up coming back to Las Vegas, eventually moved to Miami. But I did go there and try that for a year. And it's a big hustle and bustle, that life, though, too,
Yes.
Once you get into it.
Years.
Really wasn't my taste.
Did you do the audition process for acting, though? I don't know if you've ever tried your hand at, getting into movies and TV.
I did more for print and tried it up a little bit, thinking, I want to do this, but it wasn't really my thing, going and doing auditions for acting, and I don't think I was made up for it. That's one thing where we got, in that regard, I was getting bookings from commercial print, and, I had agents in Las Vegas, and for here, I was a big fish in a small sea, so it didn't make sense for me to go do the hustle and bustle when I got booked on all the good stuff here. So I just ended up coming back.
Were you already modeling a lot in Las Vegas with an agency, doing catalog work and, billboards, whatever comes in the gorgeous modeling world of print work? Were you doing a lot of that? And then, if so, did you notice your price go up skyrocketing after you became a Playboy Playmate? Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I love that.
So that was also another bonus. And this, growing up to be a Playmate that was from Las Vegas, and there was a lot of more sexier promotional events, casino campaigns, things like that. So I got booked on all of that. They wanted me. I didn't even have to show up to the auditions. They'd see my pictures and my agent called me and they booked me. Versus in LA, I've got 100 beautiful women that were all competing for the same thing, and it's just just after a while, it's just this isn't my jam. This isn't for me. So I ended up just kind of sticking to what I knew and
well, I don't blame you. I don't blame you, Tishara, and that sounds absolutely fabulous. I probably could have done that same thing because I was living in Nashville, Tennessee, and at that time I was the only first Playmate from the area, but I wasn't really hometown from there. I remember I was a flight attendant, so I was based there. Oh, my goodness, I could have done that, but I didn't have those roots, you know? That wasn't my real hometown. I know what you're saying. I had to get out. It was crazy. I opened my apartment door, and I said, I am free. I literally screamed it from to the mountaintops. I am free because Playboy got me out of that town. And Nashville, Tennessee is awesome now, but try it, 30 years ago. I'm a Playmate 30 years, I think just last year or something, right, Johnny? So this December 92. It got me out. You know what I mean? But you,
yes.
Oh my gosh, you had it made. You, your hometown, you were the main one. Hey, you were the Vegas connection Playmate. You were all about it. But you're so humble because I ran into you many times during doing all of those things, and you just were the nicest, most humble, kind person, I must say.
Thank you.
Non-judgmental.
Yeah, thank you. I think growing up here, you are humble. Like, I mean, it's like Vegas. And I think when your roots are here, you're pretty grounded, you know? Like, you growing up here, it's a different kind of place, and you're exposed to so many different things that it does humble you. It really does. So I'm grateful. Sometimes I wonder, hey, what would it have been like to grow up in, like, Idaho, or like, Utah or something.
You do. You wonder, huh? Because Las Vegas, there's no other place like it, is there?
Really, there isn't. You're just exposed to so much here.
I bet so as a kid. Even back in the day, growing up. Now, I even remember I did live there at that time, 2006.
Yeah, you spent a good amount of time here.
Yes, a couple years, and you'd go up to a hotel and you'd just get out. They'd valet. You'd come out, give them a tip, and take your car. Nowadays, that was so awesome, and that was just 2006, 2007. Then now, every time you pull up, it's like $20 or $40. It's just like it is so paralyzing. I mean, you've got to have a lot of money just to live there. Just to roam around. If you don't want to deal with the parking, then get the big limo, then get the Hummer limo, then get the party limo, then that's not enough. Get this and that and this. It's just, it really can be a superficial thing. I love how you went completely the opposite. Like, you can run all of that, the whole Playboy world in Las Vegas. You can date the top hotel entrepreneur owner in Las Vegas, but yet the polar opposite you're healing people with complete holistic, natural therapy, and you're a master at it. Now, that's pretty broad spectrum. Yes, you are a multifaceted, talented woman, definitely.
Wow, Barbara, I never looked at it like that, but thank you.
True, right? Complete. The way you look at it, it could be a complete polar opposite world.
It really is,
living.
yeah.
And it would take you, Tishara, to handle it because you are a native Las Vegan. Vegan. Las Vegan. You heard it here, everybody. This is awesome. Well, Johnny, do you have any questions for our gorgeous Playboy Playmate centerfold, Tishara Cousino, May 1999?
I want to see if you agree with this. I've said this to Playmates, but I believe that in the United States is in California. There's in Los
Sorry, I'm hearing every other word, Johnny. I'm so sorry. Barb, maybe
Me
are you
too.
hearing him?
Okay,
And tell me.
No, and that is so sad. What bad luck having Tishara on, and then what's happening. Just type it to me. We text back and forth during the show in case there's something going on. So, hey, Johnny, text me the question and I'll ask her.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it right now.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Well, Johnny's so sweet, Tishara. I'm glad you had a chance to come on the show and get to know him a little bit. He's sweet. He's out of Florida. I've been working on the show with him for 5 years, doing many shows every week, and I've never even met him in person, but we're best friends. And it can
I love
happen.
that.
Yeah, that can happen. So that's what's going on, and Johnny's the nicest guy in the world. Okay, here comes the question.
Okay.
The nerve center of fame in the U.S. is California. He's continuing typing. Well, Johnny, you didn't have to go completely silent on us. Plug in your microphone a little better.
California is...
Okay, the nerve center of fame in California is Los Angeles. You wrote that twice. Okay. Well, I know the question because he asked this everybody. He thinks that beyond that, the tip of the iceberg nerve center in Los Angeles would be the Playboy Mansion. He always has more questions about the Playboy Mansion. So whatever you can tell us about the Playboy Mansion, celebrities, stories, wild, crazy things at the Playboy Mansion, Johnny wants to hear it for the end of the show.
It's where everything happens. Actually, I was going to say something else. And, I told Barbara this, that if you put 5 celebrities on stage and one of them is a Playboy Playmate, everybody's going to want to talk to the Playmate.
Why is that, Johnny?
Right?
Yeah. I guess I can see that. I wish I had some. I'm sure that if I dug deep, it's just like you said. There was people in the grotto. It was a pretty, like the word I'm thinking, people lost their inhibitions. It was a safe place to come and lose your inhibitions and it be okay. Wear the lingerie and take a Quaalude and go and just enjoy yourself and just really let loose. They were just great parties. That's my biggest thing is I remember there were just some of the greatest parties that you could have gone or there. Great food. But I don't have any real juicy stories because believe it or not, I was quite shy going through that process in a lot of ways. But so yeah, I just remember there was really great, and there was the people hanging out in the grotto naked. That's just probably as story I could tell you that was a little more taboo. But so yeah, that was my
Me
view.
too, Tishara. Mine was really not even R-rated. It was just mingling, laughing, having a few drinks, open bar, great food, and Hef didn't even want it to be a debauchery at all. He just wanted to have a nice time and be safe. Yeah, and it was great for us was that we could go to a place like that being scantily clad and feeling completely safe because we knew there were all those security guards there for us.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I liked about it is that if you broke up with a guy and he had been going to the mansion with you, Hugh Hefner would not let the guy up, even if he was a celebrity. He did that for me for a while. He was Playboy took care of they took care of the girls. They really did. And you say Playboy as a Playboy entertainment group because they were a group, and people under Hef will attest to that. And so how do you feel, lastly, about any derogatory comments towards Hef? Do you think that if he would have lived through the Me Too movement, would he have dealt a bad hand on that one?
I don't think so, because, what you see is what you got. He didn't try to sugarcoat anything, and if you were up there, that's what that, it was, and he was a gentleman. I mean, I don't know, I see some of the things that come out, and I'm like, wow, I didn't never see that side. And I'm not here to say if it happened or didn't happen, because I wasn't there, I don't know, but all I have to know is my experience. So,
You're positive. You're all positive. And so
I didn't have those experiences. I just didn't. I really have such, if anything, what I regret is not plugging in more and actually connecting more, because I was a little shy and a little bit more introverted, and I really had a lot more opportunities and connections. I could have, even relationships. I mean, listen, Barbara, it's been years and years, and we just kind of slowly, we connected, but never, into this way to where we're texting and, so I feel like I missed out on a lot, and I wish I would have plugged in more and connected more. That's my biggest thing with where I was at in my process with Playmate, with being a Playmate and doing Playboys. I just wish I really would have dove in even more.
I understand, but we all have those because we're young, and we're not going to. Oh, there are so many times where I look back and think, man, if I had this brain I have now, I would have handled this so much differently. I would have handled that. So we're all going to have that. Maybe you should take a little bit of your own frog medicine and clear that out, because regret, it's a little regretful, that is.
Yeah, I mean, I fully trust, at the time, that's where I was at, and that's what it was, and that was my purpose, and then I just, I enjoy the fact that here we are, 20-something years later. The figure, 99, I was 20, right,
so
and going to be 21. That's
oh my
20,
gosh, that's
I'm
very
46
young.
now.
That's very young,
20.
Tishara, because I couldn't even believe that anybody was doing Playboy before 25, because I was I was turning 25. I shot it at 24, the end of it. And I was at the mansion with Echo Johnson, and she was only 18. I could never imagine doing that. I was so modest, so shy. I mean, every single year that we live, we're getting less of the shy ambitions and the shy, because we don't have experience that much. We don't have a lot of experience. So even just sitting at a dinner and trying to have a conversation could be oh, excruciating, because so we're thrust into it so fast. You must give that to yourself. You were thrust into it so quickly. All of a sudden, you are a celebrity. You're on the front page of the Las Vegas newspaper. You're doing 10 radio shows at 5 a.m. that morning, right in the limo, and you've got your chaperone now because you need security now. And, all of a sudden your life. So, wow, you've done amazing, though. And it's never even too late. Look at us now. We're still opening people's eyes.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. I was like, here we are, 25 years later, and still connecting, and Playboy still shining a light in our lives and bringing in blessings and connections. And so I fully I'm grateful. I'm grateful for our connection, Barbara. I'm grateful for coming on here, you guys, and sharing a little bit. You guys having me on here. So yeah, what a wonderful time.
Well, I'm grateful for you too, and this has been a fantastic show. And we thank you for this hour, getting to know you better. On that note, that wonderful last note, we would like to wish you all the success in your future. Miss May 1999, Tishara Cousino, Certified Master Cambo Practitioner. You can find Tishara on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and that will lead to all the links that you need to book her for your transformation, I should say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Cambo Love, KAMBOLOVE.com, or that's the same as TLC, CamboLove.com on Instagram. And it's the same for, if we were wanting real estate, I'm over here as well. So
real estate too.
Yeah.
Real estate too, everybody. You're at Realty One Group in Las Vegas, correct?
I am. I'm at Realty One Group. So yeah.
We cannot
for 19
say
years.
goodnight before we say you have been the number one realtor for that group 3 years in a row, correct?
Yeah. As a top producer 3 days ago. Yeah. Hard work. We're in a different market now, but definitely been their top producer. So grateful for that as well.
That's wonderful. Wow. Well, you certainly have it going on. You have it. My dad used to say, I don't know what it is, but you have it. And you, Tishara, definitely have it. And you've got it together. So everybody, hey, you want to buy a home? You want to be the best person? You want to be your best self? Well, Tishara could take care of both of those things. And you know what we're going to do, Johnny? Let's put those links that Tishara just read off on the bottom of her show description so people could easily click on those and directly connect to her.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Tishara. We've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you better, and I am going to contact you every time I go to Las Vegas. I actually have family there. My brother and sister-in-law live there, and I'm so close my whole life with him. He followed me out when I lived there, and he stayed, and he's been wrenching motorcycle mechanic for probably 25, 30 years, and he's one of the best. So I'm always out there, and I would love to see you all the time, Tishara.
Yeah, every time you come out here, you let me know, Barbara.
I will, and I'm going to schedule my, what do we call it? I always call it frog poison, but
Cambo.
Yeah, Cambo. Let's Cambo me up. I'm ready. So, Johnny,
all right, you guys.
Any last words, Johnny? We're done.
No, I think this is great. I think this has been a good show.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Tishara. Everybody, thank you for listening. Have a great night. See you next
Night, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.